The Infiniti FX SUV, a rather interesting vehicle for sure. Came with some really epic engines, a V6 and a V8, which I'm going to cover in more detail. But first, I want to clarify some confusion around this car because Infiniti likes to change around their naming quite a bit. The first generation of the FX started from 2003 to 2008, and then it got redesigned in 2009, and that lasted up to 2013. And then in 2014, the FX got rebranded as the QX70, and that lasted from 2014 to 2017, which was the last model year of pretty much the FX, right? But it was wearing the QX70 nameplate. But also, you may have noticed if you were shopping for this vehicle, there was something called the Infiniti EX. It's basically a smaller version of the FX, if you will. So hopefully that made sense. Maybe rewind it if you need to, but I'm going to focus on the FX here in this video, starting with the 2003 model year. Then towards the end, I am going to talk about the various model year changes that happened between the 03 FX and the 2017 QX70. First, some basic specs. We had the FX35 and the FX45 when the car first came out in 03. The V8 model produced 315 horsepower and 329 pounds-feet of torque. The 3.5-liter VQ engine produced 280 horsepower and 270 pounds-feet of torque. So when the vehicle initially came out, the power figures weren't that great. You really had to wait for the redesigned models for that higher power output. But these engines were mated to a 5-speed automatic transmission. And the FX, when it first came out, it was almost revolutionary, if you will, because it was an SUV, but it was a all-steel unibody construction. So it was a little bit smaller and easier to manage than other massive SUVs that were out at the time, kind of like the Suburbans or the Land Cruisers and things of that nature. This was much smaller and it was a sporty SUV. The suspension architecture in 03 to 08, it was a independent strut suspension and a independent multi-link rear suspension. The overall wheelbase was 112.2 inches, and this is the exact same wheelbase as the Infiniti G35 from 03 as well. Overall length was 189.1 inches. This is what I'm saying. It was a pretty petite vehicle. It's pretty easy to park inside of a garage, and it was manageable. That was the point. But of course, sporty driving intentions was the main goal with the FX here. Still had a great ground clearance of 7.6 inches and had a coefficient of drag of 0.35. The FX45, the V8 models, came with all-wheel drive, but the FX35 in 03, you had the ability of getting it in rear-wheel drive or in all-wheel drive. And this SUV is assembled in Kanagawa, Japan. Okay, so those were some of the basic specs that I wanted to share with you. Now let's talk about some of the interesting facts of the 2003 Infiniti FX. Okay, this SUV was Infiniti's attempt at standing out in the luxury SUV market, and that certainly worked. But of course, as the economy got worse and 08 happened and the need for more fuel-efficient vehicles came up, things like the Infiniti FX started to die off. And yes, this certainly catapulted or helped to catapult the SUV trend. So they have this blend of sedan and SUV and sports car and all these things going on here. The FX is riding on that FM or that front midship platform, which is used on the G35 sedan and coupe, once again emphasizing that dynamic intention that this SUV has. Even the weight distribution wasn't half bad. It was 54% front, 46 in the rear. That's for the V8 all-wheel drive model, so pretty balanced for what this is. And of course, for the FX, they made sure that the platform was enhanced in its rigidity, since this is a larger and heavier vehicle that sits up higher. The 4.5-liter V8 engine, known as the VK45DE, came with titanium valves, modular cylinder heads, micro-finish crankshaft, lightweight pistons, super silent single-stage cam drive chain, and a hydraulically driven cooling fan that helps to optimize this engine's performance. The 3.5-liter V6 VQ is that aluminum alloy block engine with drive-by-wire throttle system. The 5-speed automatic that these engines are mated to, has manual shift mode, and it's designed for high torque capacity and light weight. The four-wheel independent suspension that the FX utilizes has an extensive use of aluminum alloy components to reduce the unsprung weight, but it also incorporates a special high-frequency control shock absorber technology with a rebound spring for responsive and comfortable ride. You do have front and rear stabilizer bars on the all-wheel drive models of the FX, but on the V6 rear-wheel drive model, you only have front stabilizer bars. Because of the higher ground clearance, 7.6 inches that the FX comes with, it does mean that you can do some light all-terrain driving, but the main goal of the FX was to be a great handling street car, or a street SUV if you will. Infiniti always did a great job with offering tech features, but a lot of it was optional. We had a 6.3-inch infotainment monitor as standard, and there was also a 7-inch infotainment screen if you got the DVD navigation system. A 300-watt Bose audio system with 11 speakers that was also available, and other available features were the intelligent key with the keyless entry back in 03, as well as intelligent cruise control and rear view monitor. All of these things were available. And Infiniti was touting extensive use of real aluminum trim on the center console, the shifter area, the steering wheel spokes, and the doors. We had an 8-way power driver's seat with a 4-way power passenger seat, and we even had reclining rear seats. So that was coverage of the 2003 Infiniti FX. Now I want to go over the various model year changes that happened between, well, this first generation that lasted up to 08. So let's get into that first. In 2004, we saw some minor suspension tweaks, and we also got a air filtration system. And the front passenger seat now gets 8-way power as standard. In 2004, they also have new options that include chrome plating for the 20-inch wheels and a snow mode. Moving on to 05, lane departure warning system, that's a new option, and roof-mounted side curtain airbags with rollover protection is now standard for 05. 2006 gets a subtle exterior refresh, and we also get a slight power bump as well. The FX45 now produces 320 horsepower with that V8 engine. And 2006 is also a good year because they made a lot of features standard now, like the rear view monitor, that 300-watt Bose audio, and Bluetooth hands-free system. That's all standard for 2006. The center console got redesigned, and we have a revised gauge cluster and new aluminum and wood finish trim. Some people were saying that the FX rode a little too firm, so for 06, Infiniti did revise the suspension to help it ride a little bit smoother. The premium package, which includes a sunroof, auto headlamps, aluminum roof rails, cargo net and cover, and the universal garage door opener, that all became standard for 2006. 2007, we just saw some power folding side mirrors and a seatbelt reminder, as well as optional iPod connectivity. 2008 was the last model year of the first generation Infiniti FX, and the only change that we see in 08 is the satellite radio that is now standard equipment. So then we move to 2009, and this is when the FX gets redesigned. We have a whole new shape, and this is really when the V6 and the V8 models get a power bump, if you will. So the FX35 continues to use that 3.5 liter V6 engine, but it's now producing 303 horsepower and 262 pounds-feet of torque. But the V8 model gets renamed as the FX50, and it's now utilizing a 5 liter naturally aspirated V8 engine with 390 horsepower and 369 pounds-feet of torque. So this is when this car really becomes worth purchasing, because we have way more power out of both engines. And instead of the 5-speed automatic, we now have here a 7-speed automatic transmission with manual shift mode and with downshift rev matching. But we also see a stiffer body structure and a lot more new features. So if I was trying to buy one of these vehicles in the used car market, 09 and up would definitely be my choice. But one of the more important 2010 changes is the Bluetooth audio streaming. So if you're wondering which FX models came with Bluetooth audio, then that's going to be the 2010 models and up. And the minor changes pretty much continue, and then we go into 2014 as a new QX70 model And actually nothing changed in 2014 other than really the name. But in 2013 with the FX, we did see the introduction of the 3.7 liter naturally aspirated V6 engine, putting out 325 horsepower and 267 pounds-feet of torque. In 2015 for the QX70, that's when they dropped the use of the 5-liter V8 engine. So 2014 was the last year of the V8 powered FX/QX. But if you were trying to buy one of these in the used market with low mileage, I mean, good luck with that, because most of these Infiniti FX models, or even the QX for that matter, it's pretty much clapped out, and most of the vehicles are going to be over 100,000 miles. And I'm primarily talking about the V8 models here because, let's be honest, the V8 FX, that's what really makes this vehicle stand out, especially compared to a lot of the German vehicles. I mean, could you imagine this thing with an exhaust system? It would just sound absolutely nuts. And that's the vehicle that's hard to get. If you wanted this QX or the FX with the V6 engine, either the 3.5 liter or the 3.7 liter, that's going to be a lot easier to come by. And nothing wrong with that. The V6 is phenomenal. But in the used car market, I really saw this as like a Porsche SUV competitor, right? Just a great dynamic SUV that came with some phenomenal engines, especially that V8. But many people did complain that, you know, there's not much storage space, trunk space, or even rear legroom. So it's not the most practical vehicle. You really got to appreciate this for the unique looks and for the excellent engine choices and dynamic driving quality. So it's certainly a niche product. The vehicle got terrible fuel economy. So it's got to be something that you absolutely love. In fact, I was doing a quick car guru search, and pretty much the cleanest V8 model FX I could find was a 2011 FX50 with 100K miles on it, going for 17 grand. So that's the cleanest one I saw. I don't even think there was a QX70 V8 model available for sale. If you're an owner of one of these vehicles, let us know in the comment section. How do you like it? How it's been treating you? Do you own one of the V8 models? And would you recommend somebody else buying it with or without a warranty? Has it been super problematic? Is it easy to get parts for the vehicle? Let us know in the comment section. But I just want to bring some attention to the FX/QX SUV with these pretty great engines. So thanks again for watching. I'll have my next video on the end screen here. Click on it and I will see you there.